Baal Tanya wrote a sefer here. There's different chalakim in the Tanya. The main part, the first part, it's 53 prakim, and it's called the Torah Shebiksav of Chasidus, which has Torah Shebiksav also has 53 parshias. But out of those prakim, there's a lot of real estate allocated to one topic, and Lamed Gimel is the Lamed Gimel Lamed Dal, probably the last parak, last prakim. It starts with I think parak Chavav, Chav Zayin, Chav Ches, Chav Tes, through Lamed Dal. These last prakim are focused on one particular topic. Very strange. That's 9 prakim out of 53. It's like 20% of the Tanya is focused on one word, and that word is Simcha. Because this sefer is a manual on Avodas Hashem, and to show how easy it is, and the most important elements in Avodas Hashem is got to be b'simcha. Now, in a way, it's easier said than done. So, the Tanya allocated the various programs from Chav Vav, Chav Zayin, Chav Ches to dealing with different headaches in life that try to distract the person from simcha. Maybe panos issues, health issues, children issues, shidduch issues, I don't know, whatever else there is out there. And he tackled each one, giving us eitzes how to look at each one and not let it pull you down.
Also tackling the problem.
What's that?
Also addressing him.
There are various ways how to do it. Then you got the next 2 prakim. Okay, we got the atzvus. To remove the atzvus, the sadness, the depression, the down that we all go through. As we said, life is a EKG. It goes up and down, and that's the way it is. But then we got the 2 prakim. Say, what happens if a person's flatline? Like he's totally numb, not responsive. He doesn't have any feelings at all. Not happy, not sad, nothing. And that happens also to many of us at certain times.
Words for that.
We go through, what's that?
It's called disassociated.
Right. So there are 2 prakim dealing with that. What do you got to do if you have that? You're going to break your head. Whatever. And then we continue to say that we started with Perek Lamed Gimel. Perek Lamed Gimel is a very interesting perek. It's one of the most special prakim for this Indian of Simcha. When Rubashkin was notified after his appeals that the final appeal was rejected by the Supreme Court, after months and years of trying to fight it, what was his response? He jumped up in a dance. So the lawyers thought maybe he wants to plead insanity. They didn't know what was going on. The guy was started singing and dancing. And one of the Chavra asked him, what was that all about? He was dancing with Perek Lamed Gimel of the Tanya. So we're going to go through an hour in the middle of it. See what's so special, what is in this Perek that got him in such a situation, such circumstances, to break out in a dance, to break out the Simcha. It's interesting that Galene Vapita Nefas Besecho, Lamed Gimel Zos connected Lag Baimer. And they bring down that those who were never in Maron, were never by Rashbi and Lag Baimer, never saw Simcha Meyamov. So we see the connection to Lag Baimer. But anyway, we're holding by, I think, Ches in the thing at the end of the last page, next to the last page. That's where we were last time, after last week. And we said like this. We said that prior to this, we said the parak that we had beforehand, not Lamed Beis. Lamed Beis is talking about obviously Yisrael. The parak Lamed spoke about when a person does a mitzvah, he's connected. It should give him a tremendous high. He has a schus to be able to do what Hashem wants. The difference between us and the Boy Hashem is Hashem is Bein Or, He's infinite. And imagine a mosquito flying near you and trying to get your attention and trying to to make a connection, a relationship. It's in a different world. The mosquito has no shaykhs to us. It can do whatever. It can stand on its head, on its foot, or whatever it has. It's not going to affect the human being because it's a mosquito and you're a person. That marshal comes nowhere near us and the Bari Yisbarach, who's infinite. So how do we have a relationship with Hashem? Well, much less than a mosquito. Be'erach. And in Perek Lamed Aleph, we said the answer was that it's not from us, it's from Hashem. Hashem turned to us and asked us to do something, all of a sudden that builds a connection. Hashem gave us Taryag Mitzvah, 613 things to do, not to do, and that opens up the line of connection. That's the channel that we can connect to the Bari Yisbarach. That's only when you're doing a mitzvah. Perek Lamed Gimel was to teach us how, even when you're not doing a mitzvah, just round the clock, how you can have the joy and simcha, the static level, even when you're not in Oisken Mitzvah. So,
well, sign
yes.
says that like we can't be the rulers of the animal kingdom because we're not the same. Like the lion is the ruler of the animal kingdom, but Hashem is our melech.
Right? Because in Melech B'lo Yam and Hashem is Mitzvah, so we have a shabbos to it. So anyway, we're up to the words the Hainu, and actually before this, I think you're saying that. Oh, yeah, okay. Just a sentence before, I don't know why it stops over there, but the sentence before that says that we have to recognize that there was Hashem gave us Taryag Mitzvahs, and all the Taryag Mitzvahs is based on one Yesod, Tzadik B'Munasa Yechya, Adin of Emunas Hashem, and which means like this, that if you Mekayim Emunah, you'll have the door open to all the Taryag Mitzvahs. If you do that b'shleimus, that will, as it says in the Tanya here, Klam Akilu Eina Rak Mitzvah Achas Yemunah Levada, Kedei Emunah Levada Yavi Lekayim Kol Taryag Mitzvahs. Emunah is the same idea within of Yichud Hashem and the Simcha that we're talking about in this parak. When a person recognizes Hashem is with him, that creates a tremendous simcha, and that's the whole Tavs of Bria. Why did Hashem make this world? What was wrong with everything the way it was? What did Hashem need a world for? What did he need a physical world for? So the Medrash says, Hashem, for whatever reason, he wants to dwell down here with us. Not in Shemayim, not in the heavens, not by the Kisya Kavod, not with the Malachim. He wants us to dwell in Olam Hazeh, in our physical world, and within this world, he wants it in our own lives, in our own houses. He has such a ahava for us. He wants to live with us, and that emunah, recognizing what the tafs is, the whole tafs of Bria. And as we says here, Dahanu, Kishiyah Liba is such a Sameah, Bemunasa B'yichud Hashem, B'tachlis HaSimcha. The highest level of Simcha is thinking about that the Melech Malachim Lachim, who created everything, all the worlds, the entire universe, has one purpose here. Is the whole purpose of our creation, and the creation of all the worlds is for this alone. And that is that he wants to dwell with us. Imagine if you come down to this world and you just got one thing to do, how much you would put into it, and how happy you'll be to do it. And this simcha is the simcha of recognizing that Hashem is with us. There's no greater feeling than that Hashem is with us in our lives. If a person recognizes that whatever situation Hashem is there with him, then it doesn't matter whatever the circumstances are, it's not going to affect the simcha that he has. At least that Hashem is there.
So how do you feel it?
What?
How do you get to feel it?
Oh. So we can see how to do that. You have to respond in these various ways. The first thing is you have to respond. First of all, know that Hashem is with you. Know that nothing can exist without Hashem's being there to keep it going, to be mashkiach on it, to maintain it. And that's in the whole world in general. But with the Amanivcha, where Hashem's and Hashem B'davka, V'shchanti B'soicham, in every Yid, Hashem wants to be in our lives. So there's, if you think about that, whatever situation you're in, then it becomes a whole different story. You're not there alone anymore. If you have this emunah, tzaddik b'nosu yichya, then it's like tchiyas samesim derech mashal. Kach tichya nafshe b'simcha rabazu. If a person has this emunah and belief and knows that Hashem is with him, that will give him a tremendous simcha, and that will give him chiyas. Even if he's feels like he's dead, he's numb to life, he can't handle all the pressures, whatever. But if he invites Hashem into the picture and feels it, then there's the difference. We can see how to feel it. So this is a tremendously high level. This is a level accessible not only when you do a mitzvah, but around the clock. Anytime you think, whatever situation you're in, so one second, I'm here, who put me in this situation? I have Hashem, he's with me. And that alone is a tremendous chizuk. Simcha kful mechupelas, but it's a double simcha. We'll see why it's a double simcha. Because having the kibbutz to Hashem is the greatest simcha one can have. Because there could be no greater accomplishment for a human being to be than to be davak in Hashem. That is the highest of the high. And here we have Hashem dwelling with us. Hashem wants us to be in our lives, in our house, in our neshama, in ourselves. And this is something that's be'ein orach. And but there's one other simcha that's even higher than that. I don't remember what it's called. I sent you something, a song. My wife, what was the name of that song? I only heard part of it.
A song from today.
Yeah.
What I thought was amazing about it was the comment you had made, or was said to it, which is
Home again.
from Hashem's point of view.
Okay, that's actually coming into right here. The simcha that we had, Hashem is close to us, that's still mugbal. It's limited because we're finite. So as much as we can appreciate it, we're still. But that's not the ultimate simcha. The Tanya says there's a greater simcha. The greatest simcha is Hashem thinking about Hashem simcha. That's unbelievable. Because the Tanug HaBorei, not the Tanug HaNivra, the enjoyment of the Nivra is still finite and limited, as much as we were able to do. But if we now tap into the Oineg and the Simcha of Hashem in us, then it's Beligvol.
Does this imply that a person can't be content over nothing? Let's say a Buddhist just meditates and they're in the present moment and completely at peace. That's not real peace or something because they're not thinking or they have no God?
That's not Simcha. What kind of Simcha is that? There's nothing. But here we're recognizing that the Baruch Shem shows us and dwells with us and it's in our situation. But here, what?
Sorry. Does this element require us to tap into the Pintel Yid, the chelik of our neshama that really is still part of Hashem? Or it doesn't need that?
No. Here actually, to give you a mashal, there's no greater joy than watching your kids having fun with each other. We're parents, Baruch Hashem, we know that. We see the kids having tremendous, take them out, whatever, and there's no greater, you could be as happy as you want, but there's no greater happiness than that.
I thought I was the only one.
What? No, it comes from Hashem. Hashem just has enjoyment of us, And that simcha that Hashem has in us. And when we once spoke, Simchas Torah is a funny type of a holiday, right? Simchas Torah is probably the one day of the year that we vatal Torah more than any other day. How many people learning on Simchas Torah? They're busy. First of all, the Torah is tied up. Even the ones that are not complete, you put a gartel around it, so you can learn it even if you wanted to. And you're busy dancing all that. So wouldn't it make more sense, Simchas Torah, we finish the Torah, everybody should have a full night like Shavuos. Everyone should be up all night and learning. Instead, we're dancing.
And we're a little bit,
What?
and we're sometimes a little bit under the influence.
So what's the pshat? The pshat is it's not celebrating us being sameach and having the Torah. It's the Torah and Hashem having the simcha and having us. But the Torah can't dance; it doesn't have feet. So we hold the Torah and we're the feet for the Torah dancing. It's the simcha of the Torah. Simcha's Torah. It doesn't say Simchas Yisrael in the Torah. It's the Torah simcha that it has us. And
Us right here, right now.
you remember where we learned that from Moshe Rabbeinu? I've mentioned this a few times. What's the last thing in the Torah? Last word in the Torah, Leinei Kol Yisrael. The last few psukim in the Torah talk about the greatness of Moshe Rabbeinu. He did this, he did that, and he did all the miracles, all those things. Leinei Kol Yisrael. Well, what does that mean? Obviously, he did it. We saw. What is the message? We open up Rashi, and Rashi tells us, oh, that means when he broke the luchos. So that's a very funny thing. We're finishing the Torah on. We always like to finish on a good note, right? On a high note. You see throughout Nach and everyone's always darshaning, end off on a good note. How could it be that the Torah ends off? Last Rashi in the Chumash ends off not only not on a good note, but the opposite of the Torah, the breaking of the Torah. How could that be? So, when we look at why Chazal say Moshe Rabbeinu broke the Torah, we'll understand it. When Moshe Rabbeinu came down and he saw, it was only the Erev Av, but he saw that the Torah was basically a contract, a ksuba contract between us and Hashem. And he wanted to quickly rip up that contract because he saw we weren't being loyal to Hashem. We went to Avodah Zarah. So Moshe Rabbeinu quickly broke the luchos. Now, for Moshe Rabbeinu to break the luchos was not an easy thing. It was Torah's Moshe. It was his. Those luchos were the very, very greatest thing that was given in this world, because it would have brought freedom from the Malcham Avos. Had they not been broken, we would go right into Gan Eden. We wouldn't have had to go through a few thousand years of galus or whatever. We've gone right from there. Everyone would live forever. End of death. End of difficulty. Had those. We actually tap into it on Shavuos. The Arizal says if you stay up all night on Shavuos, don't close your eyes for a minute. You're tapping into the Luchos Rishonos, and then you have a guarantee. But you have a promise that you live out the year. Normal, unless the time is up. But in any case, why is it that Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos? To save a few people. So now, which is more important, to save a few people or Torah? So that was the drasha that Moshe Rabbeinu made. That we don't know. Medrash says we know what's greater. Is Torah greater or Yisrael greater? Both were created. Both were in Hashem's mind before the creation. When Hashem created the world, He had in mind Yisrael, that there'll be a nation that will be in this world, that Hashem will give a job to bring out the revelation of Hashem in this world for the rest of the nations. And He also gave us a Torah to teach us how to do it. Yeah, fine, we can put it in as well. What do we do with it? So we have an instruction book that goes with us. It came with an instruction booklet. And so when Hashem, so the Medrash says, which one is greater, Torah or Yisrael? And the Medrash concludes, it's got to be Yisrael, because it says in the Torah, Davar b'nei Yisrael. So Yisrael's before Torah. And that's the case, we see why Moshe Rabbeinu broke the luchos. And Moshe Rabbeinu is the ultimate Manik Yisrael, the ultimate leader of Klal Yisrael, who's teaching us a tremendous lesson. That as great as Torah is, it's our connection to Hashem, but Hashem's love for Yisrael is boundless, and if you have to break the Torah in order to save the Klal Yisrael, that's what Moshe Rabbeinu did, and that's the message we leave when we end the Torah, to recognize that ultimately it's Yisrael. Yisrael L'Vayis Kushbecha Kul Echad. That's also a song, right? That was somebody, and it's all one. But ultimately, it's Klal Yisrael. Klal Yisrael is because Hashem has simcha in us. That's the simcha that we're talking about here, the double simcha.
Yeah. So let's say Hashem is misameach that we're all here together, learning
Not all
together.
together. It's here that we're
So Hashem has a lot of simcha in that. But now we
Yes.
want to tap into that simcha.
right.
How do we do that?
Just recognizing that we're giving Hashem pleasure, then there can't be anything greater than that. Think about Hashem's simcha, that we're doing what He wants. Forget about us. Put us on the side. We have to be back over. Explain it over here. The simcha that a person can tap into any time, no matter what his circumstances is. The nachas ruach we give to Hashem. Now, how do we give this nachas ruach? By this kafai situachwa sapra cheshachim nahara. We do that by turning by subduing the Yitzhara and turning darkness to light. Because, every a melech has a tremendous tana. It's brought down in the midrashim. They would buy these birds and teach them how to talk. That was because how do you make a melech happy? He has everything, so it has to be something that's unusual. And that was one of the things they used. I had a story. I have an uncle that my uncle, as he's still around, he had he's going back to the 70s. He had a minor bird. You know what a minor bird is? Ugly-looking black bird. A minor bird. But a minor bird, a parrot could be taught how to talk, but the minor bird is the mumchub. And this minor bird he was taught actually a few lines of Tanya. He said, don't look Lashon Hara, different things. A very expensive bird. And he had this bird with my grandmother. And in the 70s, they decided to move to Eretz Yisrael. 300 people still remember the story. I wasn't on the plane. But what happened was, they came to the airport, we went to see them off. My uncle had the bird in a cage. And they said, listen, the bird has to go down with the luggage. Now, most animals or birds or things don't survive the trip. And back in those days, I don't know today, they didn't survive. Maybe half of them died. And you know that?
No. Who takes that risk?
Right, so I'm saying that's what it was then. My uncle insisted that he wants it up on top. Now, another uncle of mine was
An aquarium, I could send it.
and was friends with the owner of El Al back then. And everyone was waiting to get on board, and he said they refused to give a seat he said, I'll pay for the seat. Can't put a bird in the plane. So he called the head of El Al, and after that, the plane was delayed for an hour, but the bird got a seat. Now, in the middle of the flight, my uncle decided that he's going to take it out to feed it a little bit. And then the thing decided to take a little fly. Now, people had no idea that there was a bird on the plane. This big black bird is flying the plane. People were screaming up the window. They didn't know what was going on. And I was just mentioning their chag.
It's so confused.
I don't know. We did not go on the plane. We heard the story after when what happened afterwards. But we just able to witness the delay that plane had to wait 1 hour for this bird.
I thought the bird was going to say like a life lesson in Tanya to the stewardess or whatever, because he said how we knew Tanya. But
Eventually, what happened was they moved to Tel Aviv, and the thing flew out and never came back. They don't know what happened.
I thought I was going to say the plane's going to crash just to scare everyone.
In any case, Hashem has a special einig like a melech for something unusual to take place. So He puts us in a dark world, a crazy world, a mashuga world. He puts on a shama in a body. And if we don't let it take over us, if we turn the choshev to or, that gives Hashem tremendous nachas. Hashem put us in this world, in a dark world of klippas. Klippas are like shells that cover what's inside. They block, they cover. Olam is helam. It's all concealed. It's all hiding or seeking. Hashem hides us in this world. He sent on the Shama down here, and He wants us to bring the light out of the darkness. And that's the Danu Ketza Yamim until, and we Ketza Machashach at the end when Mashiach comes. There'll be no more chayshach of the world. Shiava Kashbach Ruchatum in the Eretz. Hashem will remove the tumah from the world. Nigla Kvad Hashem Ro Kabas Yatav. That will be at the end, or that Hashem will be revealed. The Helam will go away. So Hashem has tremendous oinig when we we basically take this circumstance that we're in, and we bring the aura out. We bring out the fact that Hashem is with us in the matzav that we're in. That gives Hashem tremendous simcha. That's the reason we were sent here. There's Ma'aser, one of the Gedolim in Europe. They were whatever the authorities were. They had in Russia. They didn't allow them to teach Torah or the mitzvahs. And the response, they challenged one of the Gedolim who refused to listen. They said, "Listen, Hashem sent our bodies in Golus, not to Neshama, not to soul. Soul is not in Golus. It's free from Golus, and therefore they have no shlita over they have shlita over our body. They can control our body. Put us in jail, they can restrict us, they can do whatever, but not on the Neshamas." And so Hashem has tremendous light. B'frat b'chutz la'aretz. This is an interesting thing. We have a certain mile now over here, over Eretz Yisrael. Especially chutz la'aretz amim tamei u'malei klipas. We're in every land has its own shlita, has its own has an effect on a person. The ava that you breathe in is affected by the place it's in. Rav Nissim Peretz, let's say, told us that America has the word rake in it, and coldness. America is a place where it's coldness to ruchnius. The emotions are dimmed, and but this eretz am tamei malei klipos sitrachor vein simcha from Yisroch k'or v'simcha v'kisn arba min ha'choshech daika. The greater the choshech, the greater the different circumstances that are holding back from kedusha and ruchnius. If you break that, then you megal Hashem knows that gives Hashem greater simcha than anything else. The ultimate simcha Hashem has when we're sitting golos and we're learning Torah, we're finding whatever it is out there and bringing out that nachas is infinite, and that's unbelievable. And that Hashem has, that the Klal Yisrael is having simcha in the ones that and in the Oisav, the one that made us. Shekol Mishu Ben Zera Yisrael, who was given this tafkid to convert the world and to be a light to the world, the light to the nations. That's our tafkid. Yesh le'smach b'simchas Hashem. We should just think about what Hashem when we do something and we make a kiddush Hashem, how Hashem feels. And that simcha that we get from Hashem's feeling is unbelievable. Asher sos esmech b'divatz b'davtonim shehem b'chinas asiyah gashmis mamish, and this is the ultimate simcha that we have. Zeh shekaz b'ayisov l'shalabim. Why is there yismach himself b'ayisov? Hashem made we singular. Hashem made a plural world. Beis, Reishis, Beis is plural too. The world is called Rishus Rabim. When we convert the world and we don't let it affect us, and we do mitzvahs and bring out Hashem in this world, we turn it. That's the ultimate tachlis, and that's how that's how we understand the game called basketball. There's a book, I don't know, I'm trying to get a hold of it. The Bavitch Rebbe would take different sports at different times and explain everything in this world was created to learn from an Avodas Hashem, a lesson of Avodas Hashem. So we take something like boating, hunting. Once he spoke about basketball, what we could learn from basketball in Avodas Hashem. So he said, and it's based on what we just said over here, the world is Rishus Harabim, and it's the basketball court. The basket is Rishus HaYachid. I was just thinking about Chaim. Someone was explaining to Chaim Kanevsky, who was allowed to play basketball on Shabbos. So he said, "What's basketball?" So they try to explain. You have this basket, and you put it in. You throw the thing, and you try to get it in. So someone just put it in the basket and finished. You understand? What do you need a game for? In any case, the basket represents the Rishus HaYachid. It's confined. The bull represents the Kadur Olam, the world. The world is it's called the Kadur, the world. And our job is to take the world and to get it into the basket, Rishus HaYachid. And the trick is not to stop, because once you stop, you got to grab the ball. But once you stop, that's it. Keep on dribbling, you keep on moving, keep on doing, keep on hopping around. He learned various lessons from the basket to learn this concept that everything we do, we have to restore back to the union of Rishus HaYachid. In any case, we complete this parak with the concept that this simcha, this is a tremendous simcha that we can access at any time, not only when we're davening, not only when we're doing a mitzvah, but just knowing that Hashem is with us in our lives, in our houses, and everything, and also recognizing what nachas we give to Hashem by whatever we try to do. That is really that takes away everything. Now we don't have the few pages. I'm just read one paragraph in the next parak. Do you have any?
No, we have this.
What? No.
No.
Okay.
I'm not giving.
Now, who reached this level? Perak Lamadal is a very practical level. These are very high madrigas, and we're all going to walk out of here. It's very nice. But, how do you do this? So first it tells us number one, that the Ovis HaKadoshim were called Makava. The Ovis of Rabbi Yaakov, they were called the chariot. What's a chariot? No. Chariot goes. There's a driver and there's a chariot. So it's like a car and they were a chariot to Hashem, meaning their whole lives are totally bottled to Hashem. Every moment of their life, they were doing Hashem's ratzon. They perceived Hashem round the clock, not only when they were awake, even when they were asleep. Only the Ovis were called Makava. No one else met that. So they were the ultimate happiest because they recognized Hashem in their lives every single moment of their lives. Those were our great-great-grandfathers. That was the Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And after that, the Nevi'im also had this bittul, but not at the same level. And Moshe Rabbeinu was the highest of all the Nevi'im, because it says on him, reminds me of another story with Rabbi Nissim Peretz, that's all. When he was here, I used to arrange with him to give a shir every night, and I used to drive him and take him back afterwards and spend most of the time with him. And one day, one of my kids asked me, who was greater, Moshe Rabbeinu or the Ovis, or Rabbi Yaakov? Good question. That day, my wife asked me a question on something. I don't remember what it was. I think I wrote the whole story down. I forgot what that was. And I also had a question. I'll never forget this. So he gave a shir, 2-hour class in Bnei Yosef. And in the class, he addressed all 3 questions. Now the question, which one is greater, Moshe Rabbeinu or Avram? And deal with that. Then he deal with my question, and then deal with my wife's question. On the way home at 12 o'clock at night, I pull over. I give him a big smile. I said, what's going on here? How did you know? I asked him straight out. I said, I was blown away. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. It was the exact 3 questions that my kid, my wife, and I had was addressed in that thing. I said, what's going on? I was very close to him, so I said, this I saw. So he looks at me, and he said it was such tmimut. He says, when I come to give the shir, you think I know what I'm going to say? Whatever Hashem sends me, I say. Nothing to do with me. That's what came out. So.
And then he gave her Rebecca's phone so you could see the text messages.
Yeah, the way before the text messages. But anyway, that was the Gilui of Hashem. So this parak, we don't have the words. I don't want to go further in it, but it's going to tell us like this. This is very nice for Avram, Yaakov, and Moshe. But we're plain people. What do we do with this? How do we deal with it? So the Al-Tai's going to tell us there's a few different ways that we can tap into it, even if once or twice a day. It's also good. And it can give us enough energy to break away the asas that we have in a day. We don't have to, if we can do it 24/7, fantastic. But if we don't, every day, there's certain places, he said, I could go a little further, a few more minutes.
What was the answer to the question that he...
He told me that it wasn't him. He backed off from the answer. He said, I have nothing to do with it. Whatever Hashem says me to say, I say, I'm not in charge.
But who's greater though, Moshe Rabbeinu or the others?
I remember in certain Bechina, the Moshe Rabbeinu was greater. But there's a different stardom in that also. But the Nevuah Moshe Rabbeinu is greater. But he says here, so we had like this. By the Avos, they had access to Hashem around the clock. All of our neshamas had this feeling by Matan Torah. By Matan Torah, we heard from Hashem directly, but we couldn't handle that closeness, that close, and that feeling was so overwhelming. We all died. We needed to have CPR 10 times every time Hashem spoke. The neshams couldn't handle that closeness. That simcha was so powerful that. So after that, Hashem decided to make a Mishkan or Beis Mikdash. So there they'll have it. So one place in the world we can tap into that kedusha. When a person came to Beis Mikdash, he saw 10 Nisim Gluyim constantly. It was a different experience that it would charge the batteries for the rest of the year, just by going to the Beis Mikdash or seeing it. Then we're in Golus. How do we tap into this when we're in Golus? We're not by Matan Torah. We have the Seres Dibros. We're not in the Mishkan or Beis Mikdash. We're in Golus. So Chazal say when you're in Golus, at least when you're learning, when you're learning, we can tap into that when we're learning, when we have the connected in learning. Even if it's only twice a day, even if a person just says Krish Mashach as an office, in the minimum, very minimum of learning, one passing in the morning, one passing at night, even that's enough for a person at that moment when he's doing that to feel, now I'm connected, now I have that Hagasha, Hashem is enjoying what I'm doing and I'm sharing that simcha, that's enough. Or if a person, then it gives another answer, if a person wants to feel it all the time, if a person is working and he's spending his time in his job. So if his goal is that he wants to would love to work less and learn more, but he has a family to support. So since the Ratzon is to ultimately work less and connect more, so Machshava Sarf Lamaisa Hashem connects it, and it's as if he did it. Also, the person gives Maisa, gives Tzedakah, so that lifts up all the other. Gives a person 20%. He brings up the other Abba Yadis as well. And if a person gives tzedakah, then it's not just the 10%, the 20% that he gives that becomes a mitzvah, but all the other money that he made is hechsher mitzvah, because you can't give the 10-20% if you don't have the rest of it. So it lifts up all of them. So they give in the Perek Lamadad, they give different aces for regular people to be able to tap into this ultimate simcha and dispel Miyad Simcha Derech Rabbi. And after this parak, then we get into all different areas where we want to, in Avodas Hashem, how we want to explain the union of Karvalecha Dabar, how easy it is to reach. But with this parak, we're going to learn the next time when we have the parak inside. We're going to learn how we all can get this high state of simcha, which we know that even today's society, the from person rates the highest in terms of simcha in the whole world. So be zeicha to feel this simcha, and the simcha should be part of its schedule, should break all the barriers, and okay. So we stop by Ramadan.
What?